So, welcome everybody back to the Connect the Dot podcast. We're doing things a little bit different here today, as you can see. I don't have all the co-hosts with me. We've got a DJ set up in front of us, all this kind of stuff. So, as you've seen with the title, we're locking in with Mr. DJ Kiwi. What's up, Mr. Kiwi?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me, Dan.
Welcome, man.
Thank you.
And just to be
Good
clear,
to be here.
I want everyone to know that the kiwi is not the fruit.
Thank you.
Can you explain that a little bit?
I appreciate
Let's come out the jump with that.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, DJ Kiwi, you hear the name a little bit around, but it's not to do with the fruit whatsoever. I am originally from New Zealand and born in New Zealand, been in Toronto now 28 years, a long time. Came over when I was young, but I really wanted to find a DJ name that was, associated with myself, but very unique, something that I could put forward into the world, really, that nobody else had, and nobody else had that connection. I wanted to differentiate myself right away.
And so for those that don't know, can you explain the kiwi part? Like, what is? Because I know what it is, but I know a lot of viewers wouldn't know, because I only know this because I know somebody from New Zealand, so that's why I know.
And I actually, because I've been in Toronto so long, I consider myself Canadian. I actually don't know the culture that well like that, but I know that Kiwi people is just a name for the population, for the people, like
Torontonian.
Correct.
Right.
Or Yankees from America.
Right.
It's not necessarily a negative thing. No. But it's that group of people. Yeah, we're not Australian, right? There's a very big distinction
and that's a
there.
Big thing.
We're not.
That's right.
I always say that, we are the same, but Australians just have a little more ego, right? In terms of we're surfing, our lifestyle's amazing. New Zealand, we do the same stuff, but we're just a little bit more chill.
But the dingo didn't eat your baby.
Yes, exactly. We're around the corner. We're right there.
Yeah.
Playing rugby, right? That's our thing.
But so that's how DJ Kiwi comes
DJ
about.
Kiwi,
It's not the fruit, although the fruit is actually delicious.
There's
no disrespect to the fruit either.
No, I love the fruit.
But that's the meaning. So
yes,
that's really cool.
I'm one of the people. I'm from there.
Right.
It speaks to the population as a whole.
Right.
And that's the connection that I wanted to make when I DJ.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, so welcome to the Connect the Dot podcast. Like, to let you know a little bit about Connect the Dot, and for you, the viewers that are just tuning in, maybe you guys have never seen us before. We are Toronto-based. We are local, supporting Canadian hip hop. We've been at it. We're on our 10th year anniversary right now. The podcast launched during the pandemic, but we come from live performances. Basically is kind of our foundation, where artists do 2 tracks at a showcase. Basically, it's raw bars over beats, no background vocals are allowed on the tracks. And we kind of do like a competition style. So it's like they compete, they do 2 records. There's usually about 8 to 10 artists on the bill. And then we have judges that basically pick the top 3. The top 3 then go to a finals. So that's why you see Connect the Dots. So like, we might do a show in London, then Ottawa, then like Barrie, then like Oshawa, then like Toronto, then whatever, like a bunch of different areas. And then we bring the top 3 from each city to Toronto. And then we have a big finals at Toronto, judged by Socrates.
So is this related at all to King of the Dot?
No, actually, I was just going to say Organic King of the Dot also comes on as a judge as well.
Really?
Like, yeah. So it's kind of
inspired. Those were dope. Like,
King of the Dot. We talk about King of the Dot actually a lot on the podcast. It's one of the best Canadian platforms that's ever been built, really. I mean, besides like something like a Much Music or Drake. Something like that. Well, Drake, but he's not really offering a platform for other artists or hip-hop.
Not a platform, yes.
Not per se. Yes. Like, I mean, he's signed a couple people, sure, but like King of the Dot's really raw, where it's like, hey, like, you got talent, come through. They have a Prove Yourself division. Then they have like, you can go up in tiers, and then now you're battling all over the world. And like,
no, some of those guys from New York, Chicago, they're
nuts,
animals, like
crazy, like Disaster, like these kind of guys.
Mathematics,
right.
Iron Solomon.
Oh man, there's so many, right? And like even
Organic
a guy like
himself,
Organic's a beast. And it's funny because back, I was telling you earlier about how I kind of came up in the hip hop scene.
Yeah.
Back when I used to rap, I used to go by Danny Boy. I used to actually perform on shows with Organic, and Organic was just like raw, rip your head off. Like,
really?
Yeah, like his lyrics were like barbaric.
Why do you think that some of that culture has disappeared? Why is that not so relevant anymore? Because I acknowledge that as well. We were growing up, that culture was out there, right? People wanted to be in rap groups and this and that. Now,
Well, you got to think about it, right? Like
know?
you got people have to change with the
cool.
times.
It was so raw. It was so
I agree.
authentic.
Can't beat it. That's why
Yeah.
we still push the raw vocals over beats to today, right? Because it's like everything's gone to like auto tune and singy and melodic and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff, and it's hard not to have background layers on that when you're performing it.
Yeah.
But we like to bring it back to the essence of hip hop, which is like the raw vocals over beats. But I think to answer the question, I think like the big change, right, was like we were talking about earlier, SoundCloud, like the SoundCloud rappers. And I mean, music changes over time. We know that.
Yes.
And I mean, hip hop didn't really have a big monumental change, like even when we were probably growing up and like, back to that raw time. And then it did have a shift when the SoundCloud rapper era came into play, like the Soulja Boys and the, these kind of people. And like, even like, getting into like Dipset and stuff, like some of the branch offs of Dipset. And then you get into like a 50 Cent, he's singing, Ja Rule, he's singing. Like it kind of evolved into like kind of R&B hip hop over time. And then it took a total like club turn where it was like really club poppy almost hip hop. And then now it's just, the mumble rap era and all these kind of things. And like now the newer generation is coming up on the like that newer stuff, and they look like we did. Like you look at that old stuff as like that's dinosaur, right? Like, oh, like I'm not gonna listen to like Run DMC when 50 Cent's album just dropped. I'm not gonna be sitting here being like, oh, let's bump Run DMC at the party when 50 Cent's album just dropped, right? So it's like the same. Like the new kids, they want to be on top of the new music, and like so if Young Thug comes out or whoever, right? Like the XXXs and like all these kind of people, they come out. That's what they gravitate to, and that's what they're gonna push, like somebody in their closer to their age group that they can kind of like relate to.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think we were like able to relate to that stuff at that time because we were coming up in that. But like now it's not, even though like the streets are still kind of like, it's still there. The aspect is still there, but it's not the same.
And also back then, there was nothing to relate to. Right? Nowadays, if you're a new SoundCloud artist, you're almost forced to categorize yourself. Do you sound like Drake? Do you sound more street? Do you sound like this? Back then, you guys were just doing it because you thought it was cool. You weren't trying to be cool. You weren't trying to be hip hop or street. That was you. Nowadays, you almost have to, in terms of is he a house DJ? Is he a this DJ? What we tend to categorize people.
Niche down.
Exactly, based off the history. And it only makes sense to me if I hear you new, it only makes sense once I place you in that. Oh, you're a mumble rapper. Oh, you're a hip hop.
Trap.
You're a Drake. You sing a little bit and you do hip hop.
Sure.
Oh, cool. Oh, you're The Weeknd. You're some R&B.
Right.
So it's, we have these categories. I think in all of life, really too.
Sure.
And we can only really contextualize and place these people in our heads
in a category. And I think that's the arts in general.
Yes.
Like whether it's music, whether it's painting, whether it's movies,
Yes.
right? Like Quentin Tarantino. You kind of know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You know what you're gonna get, but you don't. You actually know it's going to be out there and different. And
but he's got a niche.
It's got
in
a niche.
sense.
It's got.
You know what I mean?
It's not a Steven Spielberg film.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. And I think even a Steven Spielberg, although like I'm sure he's maybe more versatile and not so niche down or put into a box than somebody like a Quentin Tarantino, but at the same time, you do kind of know what you're going to get. Like you're going to get a cool story. There's going to be a little bit of mystery to it or whatever. Like there's,
the
know what I'm saying?
Are gonna, the timeline. Yeah. It's him.
Right. It's very him. And I think that comes off in arts in general. And like, for example, like you as a DJ, right? Like we were talking about it before. I was like, bread and butter should be like wedding gigs, right? And you're kind of like, yeah, and no, because that's not like you. Like that doesn't really get to really showcase you. You're great at it.
Yeah.
You can do it, right? And it's not that you don't like it, but it's not you per se.
I didn't prioritize it.
You didn't pick up the ones and twos to one day I'm gonna DJ the sickest wedding.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
You're like, I want to do the big festival.
Correct.
I want to open for this person.
Yeah.
XYZ. And actually, these are some questions that I kind of have for you too. Is like. Well, first of all, let's talk about, foundation first, right? Let's talk about, when did you pick up the ones and twos? What inspired you to pick up the ones and twos? Those would be my first question.
Yeah, cool. No, I appreciate that. Also taking it back to the beginning, I think is important. Growing up for me in my early 20s, right, going away to university, I grew up in sort of the GTA area, branching out a little bit. I went to Laurier in Waterloo, and it just exposed me to new population and a different demographic. I was a little bit older, right? I was becoming 18, 19 years old. That's the time where you sort of go out. I was always interested in music. I played sports as a young person as well. I was a pretty high level soccer player.
Cool.
So I had that world, but I always had music as well. And I learned some guitar growing up. I had a very influential music teacher, Mr. Frankfurt. I'll shout him out here.
Big props.
Guitar, right? Music. He was a guitar teacher himself. So I learned a bit of guitar, played in a band as a young age. That taught me a lot of musicianship, how to jam, how to play music, not just with myself, with other musicians, right? Based off that gave me a level of performance and just musicianship amongst other people across different instruments, across different languages. And that gave me a real good baseline for music. And that just opened it up. You know, for me, I was always wanting to hear more music. So I would go to bed at night and not go to sleep. I would put in my headphones, go on YouTube, and listen to music all night long.
Oh, is there like a genre that like stuck out to you for like from back then that like maybe you kind of like were?
So definitely things changed for me. Like I was saying, when I went to university, I heard electronic music, house music for the first time in a club. And we went to this club, me and my friends, university, and literally, it was like that song. I saw the sign. I see the sign change my life, or Ace of Base.
I saw the
Correct.
sign.
It was
It
lit
opened
up
up
my eyes. I saw the
I
sign.
saw the sign.
As I walked in, I was like, "Well, I get it. Why is the DJ playing classic house music late? Why is he not opening with Show Me Love, Robin S., right? A banger that everybody knows. Why is he not playing that in the beginning? Well, he's not, because it's strategic that later on in the peak time of the club, everyone's in, right? That's when I'm going to
Feeling a little bit more tipsy.
Right,
you know.
right. It's the peak of the night, main energy of the night. That's when I'm going to drop it. So it taught me that there's this whole world of music, and how the DJ curates it was really, really eye-opening to me. It literally changed my life. And after that one night, going to a club at 19 years old, I was jealous of the attention of the DJ, sure, but it was really about their expertise of how they manipulated the night that I fell in love with. And I was like, whoa, this DJ is a master of the room. I need to learn this mastery.
Yeah, you do become like the puppet master of the room.
Yeah, so it was really going to university, right, 19, 21 years old, hearing DJs. At the same time, locally, that was happening in the 2010s or so, if you remember, right? House music had this huge boom. Swedish House Mafia, Avicii. These guys would play on the radio. Real house music all the time. This doesn't really happen anymore.
No.
So it had this sort of boom. So it was a combination of me going to school, learning what a DJ is, hearing that a bit, and this sort of boom at the same time from Europe, from Ibiza, and that whole world. It blew my mind.
And especially in Toronto.
Yes.
Like I know, like, so if you're outside of Toronto, you know, you get the kind of, what is it called? Like, the overflow of it a bit.
Yes.
You know, a little bit of influence, a little bit. But whereas the core of Toronto, like, I mean, we had like Electric Circus, like we had like all these like different cool things. Like, I remember all like the after hours clubs and all that kind of stuff. Government, right? A bunch of them that got shut down now, but like everyone's, you know, obviously with that, it comes like the drugs and like that whole scene and stuff. But I mean, people were really like popping E's and going at it till
all night long,
7 a.m.
all night long,
right? All night long. And that,
no social media,
no social media, no phones. No one was getting behind the scenes of what's going on. Nope. And that's probably why it worked. That's probably why it doesn't work now.
Yeah,
right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because people are on that. But that's just to say that there was a time in Toronto culture, I mean culture in general, but like, because as you mentioned, overseas and stuff, but Toronto culture where we really picked that up and like ran with it. That was a major part of the identity of Toronto. And so you were basically right place, right time.
Yes.
When it comes to that.
Yes.
And then so 18 years old, college, university. Which college, university did you go to?
Laurier.
Laurier, sorry, yeah. So you're at Laurier, you go to this party, you're like, okay, I want to do that,
Yes.
right? And then take me to the next
Yeah.
step. So what happens next?
So who actually was DJing that night was connected to the local Waterloo scene. So I started to introduce myself. Really, I figured out that there was a group in Waterloo that were running all the bars, all the clubs.
It's like a sound crew.
This sound crew, group of DJs, agency. I'll shout them out across the board: Waterloo, DJ Flash, Adrian, Justin, all these guys, DJ Penny. They really put me on. I think I also disrupted them in a little bit of in a weird way. I was a first year student. I remember sending the email to this place and I was like, hey, I'm a first year student. If you put me on this DJ bill, if you give me a night, I'll bring 100 students to your bar tonight. And they did. It was a random Thursday. Was my first time in the club. I was a bedroom DJ. Yeah, I had some gear, right? Practicing a little bit. Boom, first time in the club. They gave me a chance. I probably didn't bring 100 people,
Right.
but I brought some people.
You got to say 100 though.
Was
That's
a
the number.
Thursday night in Waterloo, and just like I really cut my teeth as a DJ there. I did everything wrong. I made every mistake in the book. But these guys, this agency, this group of DJs in Waterloo across the board, I think they noticed I had some energy, right? I could actually bring some people out. Sure, they were interested in that, but they said, whoa, this Daniel guy has something going on. And that was really my first introduction to them. DJ'd with them a bit, broke into some Serrano stuff, left school, left Laurier.
So you didn't finish?
I didn't finish.
Okay.
I actually, my life literally fork-road at that time.
That's crazy.
I
Yeah.
went from school and soccer, found the DJs, and it fork-roaded from there. And it's never been the same.
That's so cool, man.
Never, ever been the same.
But it's crazy how being passionate about something, and I mean, music does this to people in general, but like being passionate about something can really change the trajectory of your whole entire life. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like soccer, school,
Yes.
academics, like let me focus. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, I thought I loved playing soccer.
Correct.
Like, not that you still don't, I'm sure
Correct.
like you probably still love it. But you know, you were like, but this is what I'm here for.
Yeah.
You know?
It felt spiritual to me,
Right.
where this is what I'm supposed to do. How I connect to planet Earth is through my music and DJing. That's when I feel most connected to people. And it just feels like, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to do. This feels right.
And I feel like with sports and academics even too, like you kind of know the pathways. It's like,
Yes.
okay, with soccer, maybe I can make it to XYZ, right?
Yes.
But also then you have the realism in your head too, where you're like, I'm probably not going to make it to XYZ,
Yes.
right?
No, I think it was lesser of the, for me, in my experience, in my family, and shout out to my parents too, incredible people, still to this day, right, present every opportunity for me. I think with soccer, sports, it's a baseline, it's a foundation for a youth person to hopefully, right, build the rest of their life. It's not about making it to this or that, but it's the basis of teamwork, right, communication, managing your emotions, all those things.
All the disciplines that go along
Correct.
with it. And that's something that I
Correct.
preach to my son. I have a
Yes.
15-year-old son, and like,
Yes.
it's not, he still plays hockey, for example, but he's not in hockey because he thinks he's going to make the NHL. He's in the
Right.
hockey for the discipline, the athleticism,
Right.
The friend group. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like
Yes.
the social aspect of it and stuff like that,
Yeah.
which is what I was going to get to, which is like, once you found that music aspect, and whether it's DJing, whether it's MCing, whether it's this, whether it's that, you happen to find DJing, you find love with it. And like what you said was, it really on a spiritual level connects with you, right? Whereas like soccer's like a hobby. Soccer's like, and some people connect with soccer and sports on a spiritual level too.
Yes.
But like for the majority of us, it's more of a hobby.
Yes.
Right? Which music is also considered to be a hobby too
Yes.
for a lot of people, right?
Yes.
And I always talk about this too, where there's hobbyists and then there's the professionals, right?
Yes.
And I mean, you start as a hobbyist,
For
right?
sure.
But if your hobby can turn into a moneymaker, that's when it can become a profession. And so, you at this fork in the road, you decide to kind of go this way because the music is you feel is like that's what you're passionate about now. Maybe it's a newfound passion. And
Yes.
sometimes that's a big thing, right? Like it's something new. So it's like, you know, you got that new burning desire. Whereas like with soccer, you might have had that when you were younger. You know, you score that first goal or the game-winning goal, and you're like, oh yeah, I can't wait till next season. I'm gonna be rep. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And like, you know, that goes on for 6-7 years, and eventually, not that you're sick of it, but it kind of leads to an end. And you're like, okay, well, I'm just gonna play. Like you can go play men's league soccer, and you can almost still get that same fulfillment out of that.
Correct.
Right, but it's not gonna pay your bills.
Correct.
Right. Whereas like music, when you find music and you can actually turn it into a profession that can not just pay the bills, you could become a millionaire. Same with sports, not saying that you can't, but again, at a certain age, you realize, okay, I'm not going to be Ronaldo.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And like with music, as we even see now to this day, like you could get your break at any age.
Yes.
Right? There's no really age limit. Like we're seeing guys like these hip hop guys from the UK. I don't know if you ever seen them, like the old guys that rap in the UK, like the drill guys.
Drill scene, yeah.
You've seen them?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, there's like these really old dudes. There's like these two old guys, and they're like, they rip the mic, and it's so sick when they do it. Yeah.
Maybe I haven't seen them.
I'll have to show you them after. But anyways, my point is that with music, it's kind of like it doesn't really have an age limit per se. I mean, some might argue that, but I feel like you could kind of pick it up and you can make it a profession for the rest of your life. But now, so you're 18, you're now a DJ, maybe you're older than 18 now, but you're in kind of like the Toronto scene, and you're DJing and like, tell me a little bit about that, because you left school, your parents were supportive, but like now they're kind of looking at you like, okay, so this and this is kind of out of the picture right now. He's going to go down the music route. What can we do to support him? And so tell me how you kind of structured your business at a young age, like of like 20s, early 20s. What did you do?
Yeah, I think for me, it's actually a bit of the opposite, where I actually didn't think of, okay, this is my business, but instead what I'm going to do out of my passion, because of my passion, is I'm literally going to make a full run at this. And what does that look like? That means literally blocking out everything else in my life, right? For this goal. And I guess that is a little bit unhealthy, right? To say there's other areas, but right, I'm a single guy, don't have a girlfriend, no family, no other career. All my free time, right? My networking, I try to go out and do that. So I really dedicated my life really to finding DJ gigs and establishing myself in the Toronto DJ scene. That's always been my goal. I know I'm not Deadmau5, John Summit, Tiesto, but I know I belong. I have a seat at the table. And I just thought, I got to hustle at this. I got to hustle at this. One gig led to 2 gigs, led to 3 gigs, led to more. All right, okay, meet one person. You have to have a little bit of self-awareness too, where my physical, right, going out and DJing night after night. I know guys that won't play 2 nights consecutively for whatever reason. That's cool. That's them. No, I love that drive. I'll go out 4 or 5 nights in a row. I'm here today. I played Monday, or today's Tuesday, right? I played Monday, Sunday, Saturday, Friday, right? And now I'm here today, right? I could have called this off, right? I was tired from the weekend. Yeah. But it's that drive, right? To really make it, and not in like a popularity way. So going back to the question, my business, I didn't really have a business plan, but I knew that I wanted it, and I knew that I'm going to pursue this and block everything out and sort of let the chips fall where they may. If I was hearing no's, or if I was hearing some resistance and it really wasn't working out for me, I think I would acknowledge that a bit too. And you know, I'm going to look somewhere else, whatever. Maybe I'll DJ, a couple weddings, but no, I actually received quite glowing feedback about my playing. I feel like I'm at an age where the Doobie Brothers, for example, right? I'm 32 years old. You see me playing a Doobie Brothers track in the bar, in the club. The people of the Doobie Brothers generation are going to notice that, right? But not the kids, right? And it's like, oh, Daniel's playing the oldies really well for the older crowd, but he's also doing the newer stuff really sick too. Oh, he's really versatile. I'm literally reading the crowd every time. I never go into a DJ gig saying, okay, I'm going to play X, Y, and Z. Yeah. Never, ever, 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 ever.
Wow, cool.
Try to let it take it with the thing. And it's because of my versatility of a DJ, different types of music, different settings, different places, different events, that's opened that up. And through that drive of receiving some feedback, then going for it more, receiving some good feedback, going for it more. That's really my business.
And I think reading the room, right, is like you nailed it. Like I think we can all agree, anyone watching and stuff like that, like the good DJs can read the room and they're gonna play the right records at the right time.
Correct.
Right. And like as you mentioned earlier, like you're not gonna throw your heat out at the beginning of the night. You're gonna, wait and but also like, I've seen some footage of you, at doing some of your gigs and stuff like that. And it's not just about the music you play, but it's about the energy that you bring.
Right.
And I feel like, also being super passionate about it helps that along the way. But not every DJ brings that to the table. Like some DJs are very dull and dim and they're argumentative even sometimes with some of the patrons and stuff like that. And like, or even like if you're doing like a live show or something, like the way you interact with the artists and stuff like that. It takes a unique person to be able to be a good DJ.
Yes.
Right? Like everybody can play songs and you could be the best at picking the songs and even reading the room, but it's the energy that you bring on top of that separates a good DJ from a bad DJ. And I'm talking about not necessarily just the clubs, but like the bars, and then not just the bars, but the weddings or the corporate gigs. Like you got to be able to turn it on. You got to be able to wear different faces in different crowds.
Correct.
And I think that really is something that you bring to the table from what I've seen. I haven't known you that long. But just from seeing what I've been seeing and just talking with you and stuff like that, I see that that's something that you are like a chameleon when it comes to this. You can fit into all aspects. So, that's
because right, the DJ is supposed to represent the music, right? I bring the music to the people, to the venue, to the party, not me. Yes, it's me, DJ Kiwi, but it's not my version of the music. It's not my idea of what the party should sound like. I'm at the party reading the room. If I see that hip hop's going off, I'm going to keep hammering the hip hop. If I see they're a little bit maybe unenergized by that, I'm going to try a different route. Also, when I read the room, right, if you don't like a song, that tells me information as well. So no matter which way it goes, it still gives me information. Right? Also, you got to, like you said, the chameleon, right? Your bar could be empty for an hour and a half, 2 hours, right? All of a sudden, in your last 20 minutes of your set, in walks a table of 30, right? And they're a corporate group. They just finished work. They're looking to really turn up right away. They're ordering a whole round of drinks. They want to party right now, right then and there. Doesn't matter how long you've been playing for. Oh, you're tired a little bit. You're watching the clock, right? Right? No, you got to turn it on. And if you don't, the venue will notice too. This guy actually didn't play to the crowd, which is cool, right? Like,
sure,
everyone's got to learn. And again, I learned everything by sucking. I can't tell you how many times, Dan, go out. Remember that we were talking about the first time in the club in Waterloo. And I had my settings. I had all my stuff for my bedroom. I was mixing in my bedroom only, exclusively at that time. I went out my first time in Waterloo. I had a little sampler, not of my name. It was a siren. Boo, 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 boo.
Right.
Okay. It was so loud. I had the setting for a bedroom, not a club, so that the levels were off. So when I let this siren go, the bar across the street came to us. It was like, what the hell is going on? So it cleared out the room, all this stuff. So I've had, drinks spilled on my stuff, you name it. So you have to go through the shitty, right, to get to the good and learn what doesn't work to almost learn how to work it.
I call that failing forward. And, that's like, obviously, everybody, if you've heard of that before, it's something that you should practice for sure, because you're not going to be perfect.
Yeah.
You're not gonna,
and did it discourage me? Did I feel negative? Yes, I did.
For sure.
But I knew at the same time that's not the be all and end all.
No, and that's how you learn.
Right.
That's the best way to learn.
I'm gonna get better.
Right.
The next time you put me on, I'm gonna get better.
It's like failing a quiz in school or something like that, right? Like, oh shit, like you're gonna go home, your parents are gonna yell at you, whatever, right? And you're gonna learn from that, and you don't want that same feeling next quiz, for example, or your next test, like in the sense of that. Yeah. But like you also remember that time that you get the 80 or the 90 or the A plus, and then your parents put it on the fridge and they give you a pat on the back, right?
Yes.
And it's the same thing with life in general, whether it's DJing, whether it's music, whether it's whatever you're doing, right? First of all, dive in that pool, right? Like I say this to people, like, are you someone that like dips your toe in the pool first to like feel it out and is it cold? Is it cold? Or are you someone that's just gonna jump in the pool? Right. And with certain things, you got to just jump in that pool, like DJing.
Yes.
You can't tip. There's no dipping your toe in.
No.
Right. Like you got to either go in and commit, or you know, you just don't do it and see you later, right?
Yeah.
Because there's no opportunity to dip your toe in, really.
Yes.
What are you gonna go? You could maybe go do like a quick little set or something or whatever, right? But my point is what you did was you jumped in the pool. You were like, okay, I love this. Okay, let me go see if I can do this. Okay, I can do this. Now let me put myself into it. You sucked. You failed. Not that you sucked, but
No, I did.
You ate shit.
No, I did.
Right, which is good.
Yeah.
Right, as we're talking about. But then, you know, the next time you went out, you got better. The next time you went out, you got better. Eventually, you became somebody that people were like, "Yo, this guy's sick," and then you were like, "Okay, affirmation. This is gonna work." Right, and then so it sounds like that. You know, you did all the things the right ways, which helped lead you to taking this on as a career path rather than somebody that got in and got out.
Yes.
Right. Because that could have been a possibility.
Very
for
much
you,
so.
right. With
And
like most
I
people.
still think about it. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I know guys that are, quote unquote bigger than me, better than me. And we've had conversations, and also they say to me, "Daniel, I consider quitting all the time." It's really eye opening to me, this show business, right? But coming back to what you said, like about the DJ being there and the energy that you bring, it's very much a confidence thing. Because if I exude confidence, I could actually make a mistake live. You would never probably hear it. The mistakes that I make are only maybe a musician, maybe another DJ would pick up on. The majority of the crowd won't really know to that. But am I going to let that little mistake sort of turtle up, right? Because if I wasn't confident as a DJ, you would know. But when I am confident as a DJ, you almost don't know, right? It's almost like just seamlessly part of the vibe, part of the energy. And through your confidence, and you can only gain confidence through some maybe lesser positive experiences.
Sure.
And that confidence is what you step on stage with. So as you step on, right, also comes back to, and goes back to like other areas of life too. Any sort of work, are you showing up 5 minutes before your DJ gig, plugging in and playing? Or am I showing up 30 minutes before? I'm checking in with all the staff here. Hey, how's it going? How's the night been? Slow, good, bad? Oh, what's going on? Shows that I care, and I do care. I want to step into the venue with all the arsenal that I possibly could have, all the knowledge that I possibly could have. I don't just want to play it blind. Sure, you could, but I really try to care, because really a bar, a venue, right, is there to make, they don't really care about how I'm mixing or what I'm doing. But for the 4 hours that I'm playing, compared to the 4 hours that maybe a DJ wasn't playing, I'm surging their bar sales.
That's it.
Right? So those 4 hours, it's night and day.
I was going to say that earlier too, is that like, when you were saying like you're representing the venue, right?
Yes.
You know, like, yeah, you're representing the music, but yes, you are representing the venue. And to your point, venue owners typically want a DJ that can also put asses in seats.
Yeah.
They don't want a DJ just because he's good at what he's doing,
Yeah.
right? And some would argue and say that a venue would almost rather a mediocre DJ that brings a lot of people than a really good DJ that doesn't bring any people, right? Because a lot of venues need help bringing people. But then when you get to a certain level, you're only playing clubs that have the people there already. So now the venue owners are actually a little bit more concerned on quality rather than those asses in the seats. Now, my question to you is, in your experience in the Toronto scene, is it like a 50-50 on that level? Like when you're getting booked or somebody's approaching you for a gig, or if you're approaching somebody for a gig, how much do they rely on you to bring people and be a promoter versus you just being able to show up and be a good DJ?
So it's a great question. I think in my experience, that type of, hey, how many are you bringing type conversation is very much a thing of the past. I don't hear it so much. Yes, it would be great, but also maybe I don't hear it so much because I'm more of a resident DJ, where I am locked into a place quite weekly or bi-weekly. Also, I think an advantage, you were mentioning perspectives and commenting as the bar owner, as the venue owner. It's also an advantage for the bar owner, even if your DJ is mediocre. I'm just going to sort of stay with him. I'm just going to keep him locked in. I don't have to go out and find new DJs. It's a risk. Even if I bring someone in with some social media he's popping, he could suck for my venue. So yeah, he's a cool DJ, but it just didn't fit for this night. So I experienced...
Or a DJ that shows up late, for example.
Or shows up late.
Or
drinks, gets hammered.
Or doesn't even show up. or sends another random guy,
Yep.
and the other guy's not as good as him or something,
Yeah.
right?
So a lot of times a venue will actually stay with a DJ. Maybe even the venue will stay with a DJ who doesn't play at the venue himself, but the venue uses the DJ's network as a booking DJ and do all the bookings through him. So you could approach the venue and they say, no, we're good. But in reality, it's actually a network of DJing, and that happens quite often, where the venue will hand off to a creative person, a music person, a DJ person, and sort of let him run in. Let's see how that goes. That's more like that.
So tell me some stories. I want to hear some like nightmare stories, or let me hear something that's like, I mean, we can get into some positive stuff after, but I want to hear some stuff, because I mean, even me as somebody that's thrown so many events, I've dealt with so many venue owners, and you know, me as a promoter, because I've oftentimes looked at as the promoter, as the person that's booking the acts, you know, like usually I'm booking the venue, I'm booking the DJ, I'm booking the acts, I'm putting the promotion together, the flyers, the tickets, the whatever. I'm doing all the work, right? So I've done this in many cities across Canada, across Ontario, dealing with so many different venue owners, and you know, some venue owners are amazing. I've dealt with some absolutely top-notch people that are just like, you know, there to actually help the arts, help the music industry. They realize that they're a part of the music industry and they play off that. And then, you know, I've dealt with some people that are straight up like, oh, there's only 60 people here. Like you said, there was going to be 100 or whatever, and they're pissed and shit, but their bar sales still do good or whatever, or maybe they don't do good, or maybe people aren't tipping or whatever, right? But I've had nightmare stories when it comes to venue owners, things that have happened at events, et cetera, and I could sit here and talk about them all day long. But I'd like to hear from your perspective, because it's cool for me, someone that's been in the industry for so long as I have, and I like to hear other nightmare stories. There's got to be some.
For sure.
Okay.
I think for me, though, it actually doesn't come from the venue owners themselves.
Sure.
As you said, the venue owners and management, it's very typical that you have an owner of a venue who's actually never there on site. You show up on the weekend, you know, I don't even know who the owner is, but I know who the general manager, and it's their person who they've placed, whatever.
Yeah.
But I actually have more experience in the bad stuff with the DJ or entertainment agencies.
Okay. Got you.
Placing me at the venue. So the venue, the staff, the management is actually fantastic.
Right.
But it's all the behind the scenes of why I'm there in the first place that gets a little bit wonky. And why I'm taking those gigs right in the first place. You're saying, why am I taking a gig that's a little wonky? Why would I even do that? Because without it, I just wanted the gigs to gain experience. So it was only through a gaining of experience type pursuit that I encountered these people, right? And these people, these businesses, they have their own clients, they have their own agendas, they have their own interests, they have their own branding. So yeah, you're DJ Kiwi, part of this agency, and we'll give you a few gigs, we'll place you around a little bit, we'll give you some social media stuff. You're always wearing their hat. So example was, and I don't want to name names, right, and go too personal.
I don't need names. I don't need names.
It was a New Year's Eve event. New Year's Eve. Okay, cool. Big party night.
Right.
Part of a venue had a dancer come for, and I played the venue of previous times before, regular, all good. This time, because New Year's Eve was there, they had a dancer, sort of like a belly dancer, not like stripping or anything like that, but going up to the tables, trying to get people to interact and dance. Cool. So she introduced herself to me on the night of. I had no idea this was taking place. This was through an agency gig, so it's not my own gig. It's through an agency who placed me at a venue. And she's like, "Hey, I'm just here for New Year's Eve." Introduced herself. I'm gonna dance for a little bit of your set. Cool. Played the night, went off. You know, was a good night in my opinion. A little bit of extended hours, right? New Year's Eve, you can go a little later. Ended up, I think, about maybe 3:30 in the morning. Great feedback. I get a call the next day. Okay, this is New Year's Day. Technically a holiday, right, across the world.
Right.
From the agency owner who placed me here. Hey, I heard from the dancer a little bit that your music was all over the place last night. You were train wrecking a little bit. It just seemed really off. He's describing to me. He's telling me from the dancer's perspective who was there last night. So it almost just seemed like to me you had placed a dancer, somebody you had hired,
Right.
to tattle on me,
Like a secret shopper.
to rat me out.
Yeah.
And it was also totally opposite to the feedback that I experienced at the venue. So this person, right, was talking to me with their perspective of maybe that's making me a better DJ. Maybe he was trying to make me a better DJ. But it just came across as really weird, where you're almost hiring someone behind my back to knock me at a job you placed me to do. And that's not a great feeling, right? That doesn't make me want to DJ more with you. And it makes me want to do more of my own thing to break away from some of that gatekeeping. So that's just one example of a bad bad experience.
On that note too, is like, the person that's doing the dancing.
And then, sorry, the worst part of it was that I called him out on it, because at first he was like, this dancer really knows her stuff. She's been around. And then I was like, well, I actually only played house music that night. So the music couldn't have been all over the place, because I basically only played one genre. Once I explained a little bit of my own perspective, then the idea really changed. Oh, she really doesn't know her stuff. Don't worry about that. So it was really, really strange how.
But the funny thing is too, is that like, just hearing the story, it makes you just think that that person's perspective, the dancer, like, that person wanted XYZ as music, right? And maybe, like, had the agency said to you, hey, listen, you're playing music for her,
right?
Then maybe you could have had a discussion with her. But like, as you mentioned earlier, like, when you're there, you're talking to the venue, you're talking to the staff, like, people are coming up asking for requests, like, all these kind of things are happening. Like, the last thing you're thinking of is, I'm catering to this dancer, right? Like, she's just supposed to be there to dance, like, figure it out.
But even if she said something to me, I wouldn't cater my set to the dancer.
It wouldn't make sense.
I'm catering my set to the patrons that are there.
Yeah, those are the people turning up.
So I don't know what her real.
It sounds like something else was going on behind the scenes there.
Yes.
Maybe with him and her, I don't know. But yeah, no, that's a good one though. I like that.
So whenever you DJ with something else, with an agency, with a business that you don't own the relationship with, you're always wearing their hat, or you're always under their brand.
Yeah. And have you ever had a situation, because I've heard this in the past, like, plenty of times. Have you ever had a situation where a venue owner didn't pay you? Or like, they tried not to pay
at
you?
all?
Like, maybe they gave you a little bit less?
Not a little bit less, but just late. So no, I've never experienced totally no pay, totally zero. But I've waited 3, 4, 5 months for pay. Yes, especially through the summer. Things get crazy in the summer, delayed. So I've waited and we're talking $200, $300, $400 here. Nothing.
Yeah, it's nothing crazy.
But I've waited weeks for that. Yeah. Weeks and months. Yeah.
But
not zero completely.
I've heard some nightmare
not completely
stories,
zero.
That's good though.
Yeah.
That's a good sign.
Usually because you're getting cash night of right then and there. Usually.
Well, that's something that like me, when I'm booking DJ, like, sometimes I'll take the full fee up front.
Yeah.
To be honest. And I'll be like, if there's any issues, like, then we can deal with it after. Like, if something blew up or whatever, like, I don't know, like, DJ doesn't show up or something, I'll refund your money. But like, we agreed to a certain amount of money.
So if you agree, you'll place a guy for no money? He'll play.
No, like, I mean, like, let's say I booked you for, there's a festival coming up, and somebody hits me up and they want to book you as a DJ, and I tell them, okay, we want $500, for example, and this is what we're gonna do, XYZ. Okay, that's what you want. That's what we want. Talk to you. You're cool with it. Okay, cool. Yeah, all right. Here's your invoice. Send the money
for the 500.
For the 500, and it's not even for 2 months from now. They'll pay me the 500 now up front, right?
And you work it out with the DJ.
And I'll hold it until the DJ goes. DJ goes, does their job, everything's good. I'll then send the money to the DJ.
Interesting.
Or I might give them a deposit. Like, here's $100 for now. You'll get the rest on the back end once the gig's done. Message me when you're wrapping up.
Right.
And then they'll message me. I might message the venue or whoever I booked with and be like, hey, how did everything go tonight? Oh, everything was great. Perfect. Okay, release the rest of the funds.
Right. Oh, that's pretty good.
That way,
that's pretty good.
I cover my ass.
Right.
Right? Because if I book you go there, he stiffs me, I owe you 5.
Yes.
Or whatever the
yes,
deal is, right?
And he could suck at the same time.
You could not show up.
Right.
You show up an hour late,
right.
You're not getting the full amount.
Right. Not showing up is worse than sucking. Yes.
100%.
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
Someone needs to push play.
Yes.
On some fucking music.
Or getting drunk, or like,
that type of stuff,
asshole,
right?
Yeah.
And luckily for me, and as I've told you, like, we have DJ Vincy Prince, and he's been amazing for like over 10 years,
Yeah.
right? Of just, you know, being reliable and just doing the right gig. And we always just actually get nothing but compliments from them. So it's like, it's good to build those relationships, which is why I don't actually veer out. Like, I don't really want another DJ. I don't need another DJ. Well, don't fix what's not broken.
Right.
Not that I would never, and I haven't. I have worked with other DJs, but you know,
you have a good system. You've worked it out, and you're killing it,
right? So, more questions for you though, because we've actually never had a DJ on the show, and if you guys are watching this, Connected Dot fans, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. And
no hip hop DJs, anything?
No, not even Vincey Prince has come on the podcast. We keep trying to bring him on too, and he never comes on. But Vincey, we got to get you on,
for sure.
But we got you all set up here with the DJ stuff because, you know, we were talking about not doing this and whatever. But I wanted to do it just so, like, when people do tune in, they see that you're a DJ. We don't necessarily need to rock a set today, but I was gonna say, like, with what you have here, this is the controller. This is what I'm used to now. Like, it's a Serato, it's a Pioneer, it's good equipment. You know, back in the day, it was always turntables, right? So did you start with turntables and then get to controller?
Great question. So this actually, and you mentioned Serato as well. I like that you mentioned Serato. I chose to go with Serato because they were created and headquartered in Auckland, New Zealand, my birth city.
That makes sense.
So I've rocked with Serato day one. Did I start on turntables? No, I was a little bit after that generation where I got started in the early 2000s.
Right.
Where the digital aspect, right, was just coming to the forefront. If we think back to how I liked hip hop as a genre, but as a DJ, I really saw electronic and house music guys DJing and what it means to be a DJ. And if you think about it, even back in the 80s, 90s, house music was always associated with technology and the latest technology. And I heard Layback Luke talk about this and really established guys that it was always connected with computers and electronic and technology, synthesizers and the first DAW systems. That was always house music, right? All the Chicago guys, right, were in the warehouse playing their house music, right? Maybe on a synthesizer or something like. So anyway, house music has always been tied with technology. So I came about at a time where Serato was sort of new and coming. Yeah, you had your purists, your turntable is still around, DJ Flash, right? I mentioned him. Wicked. When I first saw DJ Flash mix live in the club on turntables, it blew my mind, right? So yes, he's using turntables, but it's the perfect synergy between digital and analog. He's using his turntable, his vinyl, but it's a control vinyl for Serato. So you load it onto your control vinyl, any song.
You're not flipping records out.
Correct.
Right.
But you have the tactile feel of mixing on a turntable.
It's got the look and feel of it.
When DJ Flash was mixing in Waterloo, in Titanium nightclub in Waterloo, it blew my mind. He was so... I was like, what am I hearing? How are you doing this? So I sort of came about a time where where technology was rising up. So I started, on not this controller, but a type of controller.
Cool.
But I still had the awareness of the older generation.
Right.
And I actually own CDJs.
Okay.
Other than this. So that's more my clubbier setup because I like that feel of the tactile older models. This stuff... It's a little bit fake, right? Anybody, you know?
It depends who you talk to, and
certainly Serato. I love Serato as a software, and all their products I've rocked with since day one.
Serato is a game changer for sure.
Yes,
even being able to let somebody like a DJ Flash do what he does, right?
Yes,
with
right. Create, right? Yep.
Instead of having the crates and all that kind of stuff. And it's funny because I remember back in the day, like watching some like DJs, basically even in the Toronto scene that were the crate DJs. They did have vinyls, they did have turntables, and I was so blown away by them grabbing records and doing this and doing that, and like knowing where to put the needle and all that. Like the way that like I just had so much respect for the amount of skill that went into it. But that's because of the genre that it was. I think the hip hop genre and stuff like that made it really give you that vibe. Whereas like when you get to like the house DJ, the EDM, like that kind of vibe, it's like you don't really care about that aspect of it, of like the vinyl, because like when you think vinyl, you're thinking like the old school, like where hip hop kind of comes from, right? Like sampling and all that kind of stuff. Not that there's no sampling in this, but it's different. It's like this is actually more set up and fixed for somebody that's going to DJ house music or EDM.
Yes.
It caters to that.
Yes.
And that now the new skill comes in.
Yes.
Which is the blending, which is the remixing, which is the
Yes.
all that stuff.
Yes.
Right? Which is like still happens with the hip hop stuff a bit.
Yeah.
But it's more back then was more about the scratching and like the blending, like mixing the tunes together. But like now it's like it's all remixes. It's all that drop. It's all you know, that stuff when it comes to like the house, the EDM stuff, right?
Hearing your TikTok audio in the club.
Yeah. Now,
That's what it's about.
yeah, now it's about that for sure.
Yeah.
And
but there still is your vinyl only party, right? And play the record in Toronto.
Oh
right?
yeah, which I love.
Vinyl
it's
only,
still really
vinyl
cool.
only venue.
Love
right?
that it's still there. Like we were talking about earlier, like the raw, like that stuff still
Yes.
exists.
But it's
even
an
like
insane attempt, an insane drive to even make that happen.
that's like us with Connect the Dot podcast. That's how Connect the Dot in general, like the platform. That's how we feel. We feel like we're kind of going against the grain a little bit because. Like that raw hip hop is not that it's dead or anything like that. And people always ask, is hip hop dead? Like, I don't think hip hop will ever die, even because like even the new heads that come up, like some of them just have that much respect for the history that they won't let it die, because like even us as hip hop heads, like we went back and sampled this. We got influenced by that. And it's the same with house music. It's the same with any music. Like you're still going to go back to the greats. And like whoever's the best now is going back.
Yes.
So you kind of have to, if you want to keep up, if you want to get to that level, you understand that that guy's still doing that.
Right.
So you kind of still have to be up to the times on the old times, but definitely have to be tapped into the new stuff, and especially with house.
Yes.
Because the tech changes every fucking day.
And something 100%. And something that came to mind as you were talking there is the significance of Toronto as a city. At Trebas, audio engineering school that I went to in Toronto, they specifically not harped on, but carved out time to explain to us the significance that Toronto really has in terms of music. It is a major, major market. Oasis, for example, their first North American show is in Toronto for a reason. If you think about it, Drake, Justin Bieber, The Weeknd, all the different genres of music are dominated by not Canadian artists, by Toronto artists. Justin Bieber and The Weeknd and Drake. That's pop music right there. 3 Canadian guys started from nothing. The Weeknd would, shoot videos walking around Dundas Square with nobody and blew up. So the talent base, the market share, the size, the influence that we have, right? The Rolling Stones loved playing in Toronto. Loved. It's a major market, and I feel like Torontonians, Canadians, it's a very Canadian mentality to almost like downplay it, right? But if we were New York City, we would be shouting that out, right? They're proud of it.
Yeah.
That's the difference there. So the technology and stuff, but Toronto allows for all of this. And to me, when for me, things changed with Drake. Like I'm part of that. Before Drake, it wasn't cool to be from Toronto, right? I respect your generation, right? What you guys were doing, but you guys were not cool.
We talk about that all the time,
right?
On the podcast.
Drake made it cool to be from Toronto. You were not cool before Drake,
right?
He really did that, and
it's very true.
Away from his music, you can call it corny,
and not just in the hip hop world.
Yeah, no, correct.
Right, yeah. So like because we talk about it on the podcast in the past episodes where we talk about guys like Chauclair, we talk about guys like Socrates,
Cardinal
Official, right? We talk about that. That's in the hip hop world, and sure, you could argue that Drake's in the hip hop world, yes, and he is technically, but he put us on the map for music, and people started being like, now when they talk about Drake, then they go back to talking about Justin Bieber, even though the Bieber that happened before Drake, right? But when people talk about Drake, then they go back over to Bieber, and then they talk about The Weeknd, and then they'll talk about some of the big bands that came from Canada. So the reason why I say that is because not only did Drake put the eye on the hip hop scene, which he definitely did that. He's the biggest hip hop artist to ever come out of Canada. He also put Canada on the map when it comes to hip hop, even though there was those pioneers before him that did kind of pave the way for him and did get some notoriety. But what he really did was really put the eye on the Canadian music industry as a whole, and not just the musicians and artists in it, but the infrastructures that are built here, the opportunities that are here, the shows, the events, like, Calgary, they've got the big festival that, like, 50 Cent, Rick Ross, like all these big names go to and all this kind of stuff. Toronto has one of the best venues that you could probably ever play at, like Rogers Center, and, just different things like that. And big bands, that's where they come to, right? Like, and so, but my point is that Drake, who's, technically, he's been in the game for how long now? Are we looking at 15 years? Something like that? So about right, for about 15 years or so, I could fact check it, but I don't really care to. But for like 15 years or so, like
dominating.
And just opened all the doors.
No one was singing. If you're a rapper, you were not singing.
Singing and rapping.
Drake made that.
That's right. And then
with
all of a sudden,
some Lil Wayne, right? So he's singing and rapping, and then Lil Wayne feature.
Sure.
Which just doesn't help.
And then
doesn't
you've
hurt
got,
as well.
but even like one of Drake's biggest records from when he was coming up was Replacement Girls with Trey Songz.
Correct.
Right? And that was really his like breakout tune.
Correct.
To be honest, like there was a couple other ones.
Yeah.
The biggest that was probably at the time.
Well, Replacement Girl, you're right. Wow.
Yeah.
And Trey Songz.
Trey Songz, and he came on rapping. Trey Songz sung the hook.
Yeah.
And it was a hit.
Cool song.
It was a cool song. It was a hit. But that was the sound started there. And then it just kept evolving, and then he started singing.
Yes.
And it was right after that, really, because he was like, oh, wait, people want that sing rap shit, right? Then you look at somebody like Tory Lanez, right? And, he gets kind of overlooked now, especially because of the legal shit that he went through now. But right before that legal shit happened, everybody was, look at quarantine radio, what he did during COVID, right?
Yes.
Like, Tory Lanez, like, again, Drake opened the door for that, though.
Yep.
And The Weeknd.
Yep.
And the next person, and there's more people that I'm probably not thinking about right now, and there's more people that are on the rise right now that are about
and maybe
to blow up.
Drake, would you say Drake poured some more fuel on the King of the Dot scene as well?
100%.
Yeah,
right? He definitely opened up some eyes. It brought some attention, brought some notoriety.
I think he even went to he's been in the crowd.
That's what I mean. Yeah. So he was actually like a co-host on a couple of them, and he funded one. There was like an OVO one. I think it was a Blackout maybe, or it was something like that. But there was a big event.
OVO themed King of the Dot.
That's right.
Wow.
And so I do remember when he was like a host. He was like an official host on one of the battles or one of the events. And I was like, that's one of the, like, I couldn't wait to see what was going to happen next with King of the Dot after I saw that happen.
Yeah.
And I mean, Organic has done such a great job at fucking just blowing that whole thing up and being able to continue it on even after COVID and everything. Man, COVID put a big dent in a lot of stuff.
Very much
right?
so. Very much so.
I mean, not to dabble too much into it, but like for you as a DJ, like how did that affect you?
So COVID was a huge significant. It literally grinded everything to a halt, right? Which at the time was quite negative. But I took the time. I was living at my parents. I was kind of risk-free, if you will. I really used that time to decide, do I want to be a DJ or do I not? And Dan, I literally thought about that for probably a year straight. And what I went back and forth, asked a few people, right, trying to figure out more of who I was. I really used COVID. And when I recognized that things were maybe coming back online a little bit, I was like, you know what? If they're going to lock us down, if they're going to take away our businesses, they're going to tell us what to do, right? More or less, the government, I'm saying. I'm now going to wake up every day and I only want to do what I want to do. I don't want to do any of the stuff I don't want to do, which was finding a traditional career job. I never felt alignment with that, right? I left school for music reasons, whatever, but also because I never wanted to be an accountant, be a marketing person,
it didn't click with you.
Never clicked with me. I always in the back of my mind, I thought if I got these jobs, I'd still want to do music on the weekends anyway. So I used COVID as a time to decide if I wanted to really make a run at it. And coming out of COVID, I have gigged, Dan, literally every single weekend since 2020. When did COVID lockdowns?
think it's like with 3 years ago.
22, 23. I've gigged every single weekend since COVID came back online.
That's amazing.
Since the lockdowns ended.
And did you like plan for that?
No.
It just kind of happened organically.
I planned I used to play in Richmond Hill and Thornhill through another
Agency?
More events and weddings.
Okay.
Not so much bad stuff with them, but just like they care about their clients, right? And their demographic only.
Yeah.
So yes, for a while I was gigging with them a little bit. Never really had a plan, but just took a few gigs, took a few experiences, but then tried to break in a little bit more downtown as well on my own.
Nice. And getting back to Trebas.
Yeah.
When did that happen?
Trebas happened for me after I left Laurier and was still sort of deciding, you know, my parents and I sort of said, okay, like if you want to do music, that's cool. Why don't you do a bit of a course that can give you some direction? It was only a year program.
Nice.
And yeah, so it was after I left school while still, you know.
What were you going to school for at Laurier for?
Honestly, in my head, I was going to school to Laurier to be a soccer player. I didn't really care.
Right, you were there for the sports.
About too
athletics.
much else. I was in the business program for a little bit.
Which is okay.
Then I dropped to the communication. I couldn't tell you what the inside of a Laurier classroom looked like.
Right.
I only played soccer and went home to be a DJ.
How did you guys do in soccer?
We were okay. We were okay.
I figured
we were a bit of a pub team as well. We liked to go out as well, but
nice.
we were decent. We made the playoffs, but
okay. So when that fork in the road happens and all that, your parents wisely guided you to do Trebas because I think that's probably also helped shape and mold who you are as like a business person, but also as a DJ.
100%.
Because you had the business course, but when you go to Trebas, they're teaching you how to be a business with music.
And you're with like-minded people.
Sure.
They would also say that things like, when you ask somebody in the industry, how long have you been in the industry? They go 20 years. Well, they're not. You can also start counting your year at Trebas as part of your experience.
Oh, for sure.
So part of his 20 years is his 1 year of Trebas. This person, you can say the same.
Yeah.
So while they really shaped our. There was this singer. Okay, and I wasn't. So there's a lot of different people with musical backgrounds and things like that. And I just remember this lesson, this thing. He would sort of say, even if you're just standing up in class with your peers and giving a 30-second sample of your vocal, right? Treat that as a Grammy-winning performance. So take every opportunity to show who. Never downplay your art. If someone's asking you to perform, even for free, I don't know, like you know. Don't treat it as, oh, I'm just playing a little shitty bar gig for free. No, I'm playing this like Coachella, right here, right now, to the best of my ability. And even if you suck, that shows through. That Daniel, he's up there trying his best.
You never know who's watching.
So I took that with me as well. No, you're correct. You don't know who's there. You never know who's listening. Always give your best.
It's such good advice, and you know, in my coaching program that I do, and I did that actually during the pandemic to basically help people, kind of because everyone was pivoting and they didn't know what to do, like what you were just talking about.
Such an unknown time.
It was so strange. But I was like, my big thing was like, I did this like self-awareness test thing, and it kind of like showed me that I was actually like an educator and all that. And I never really looked at myself as that, right? But I had all this experience under my belt, been an entrepreneur since I was very young and all this kind of stuff. So I had something that I could, you know, give, right? Like, okay, here's some value that I can give to others and help them. And that was one of the biggest things that I like, and it came from sales training, because like I had a kind of a corporate sales background a bit. And that was one of the big things. And it was, there was a thing called being the mayor of the block. And it's like, you know, you're obviously not the mayor, but while you're out there and you're knocking on doors, or while you're out there and you're DJing, or while you're out there and you're doing anything, whether you're pushing a broom or you're putting up, you know, shingles on a roof, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You do it to the best of your ability, because you never know who's watching and where that next opportunity is going to come from, because somebody will see you doing something at your best effort, and maybe you actually do a very good job at it, right? And then that person's like, oh my God, I need that person for this. And you don't know who's watching. So very, very good advice that they got. And that is the type of advice you would get at something like Trebas. And now tell me, So did you pass the course at Trebas?
Yes, I did.
Perfect.
I
That's
did.
good. So you got like a certificate or
Yeah, it was a
something along that?
diploma program. Yep.
Perfect.
Yep.
And what was it in? Like what was it?
Audio engineering and DJ arts.
Oh, cool.
But very recently, I've actually found out last week, I think they're cutting the program.
Okay.
So this was very recent news. I'm not sure why, but yeah, it was audio engineering.
I think it's because there's more competition now.
Maybe. And DJ Grouch, want to shout out DJ Grouch as well, was the DJ instructor at Trebas.
Very cool. Shout out DJ Grouch.
You know him?
Yeah. That's huge. That's
yeah,
huge.
DJ Grouch. Is cool.
So, but yeah, like that's cool. And to that point, there is so many now programs, and you can learn online, and so the competition's there, right?
Yep.
You don't need a certificate or a diploma to be a DJ or to get gigs or any of this stuff.
Probably didn't need Trebas at all, to be honest. But it was all the.
It seems like it was very helpful
to get the job, right? But to get the experience and a lot of value.
It's the framework. Sure. It's that framework because just being
also,
a DJ.
Also, Trebas was very studio oriented,
right?
Recording. Audio engineering. I didn't actually want to work in the studio with bands. I actually quite find that kind of boring, right? It's cool to be in the studio and work that and mix and that, but sitting in the studio day after day recording. So along that year, I knew I didn't want to be in this. Also, I recognized I don't even think those jobs exist anymore. Where you're a studio engineer in a recording studio.
I mean, they're there, but it's far and few between.
I don't
from what it used to be because everyone's got their shit in the closet
and
now.
I don't know,
and in their bedroom.
I don't know anybody that I went to Trebas with that actually works in a studio. They all do it on their own. Nobody works in the studio. So it was such a sexy experience. It was fantastic. We met Gadget, OVO. You mentioned Boy Wonder. Gadget was is an OVO credited audio engineer with Drake. We were placed at one of his studios. So he was the head engineer at this studio and would invite these Trebas kids in for a class, and he would just be there night after night. And we just heard crazy stories about this gentleman Gadget as well, where he would be at such a level that he would actually turn down Beyonce records. Beyonce would contact him to mix something, and he would actually say, no, thank you. I'm doing my OVO stuff. So
that's pretty cool.
Trebas was dope. Trebas was cool.
And cool. Moving on from Trebas, but it's very cool that you went there. I think it was, again, guidance from the parents, I think is a big thing. And then framework that you get from there, the mindset that you get from there is something that you'll carry with you throughout your entire career and stuff like that. And so my next question to you, it would be like, so, we're here now. It's, we're going into 2025?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, right? Yeah. Oh, time flies.
That's wild when you say it like that.
Right? Yeah. Holy, 20 and a quarter. Coming up. So what's I know you've got some residencies. I know you've got those kind of things going on for you, but what are some short-term, long-term goals for you right now?
Yeah. No, definitely. I think in the short term, I would want to make a bit of a strategic decision to be more front-facing on social media. So definitely in the short term, a goal is to make a social media push. Because whether it's forced, like we were talking about before, or not, I've really never done that. So yeah, I've had some maybe success, maybe some experience, whatever. But now I really want to pour that fuel on the fire and see where it takes me. So in the short term, I definitely want to make a push like that without it being forced in a way, and just see where that goes, because I've never really done it, and because I'm not an expert in social media at any sense of the word. Right. But I only see it now as I'm only playing, DJing, or I'm marketing myself. That's it. While I'm playing, I'm playing. When I'm not, I want to be marketing myself, and that's it. So that's cool. Sort of my short-term goal.
It's a great short-term goal.
Longer term, and see where that takes me, right? Whether
it works or it doesn't work.
I think it will work.
I think inevitably.
But where will it take? Where will it work?
Where will it go? Yeah. Where will it take you?
Longer term than that, for me, growing up, I always just wanted to be I wanted to be known as a Toronto DJ. Having a DJ as part of was so cool. Growing up, I can't emphasize this enough. It was just so cool that they had all this. They had all the music physically but they knew all this music, had all this music, and to me, I just want to be known as a Toronto professional resident DJ.
I love that.
Yeah, as a long-term goal. I want to break into the Toronto music scene as a player.
I get that.
Right?
I totally,
That's my
I
goal.
understand exactly where you're coming from.
It's not a money goal. I don't
Right.
care. Make X.
It's not a financial.
I don't care. Play. Sure, it'd be nice to play the big club. Sure. But I just want to.
The notoriety.
Yes.
Yeah.
And not as
The
like
respect.
I'm better than you way.
No,
but,
no.
But my due respect, correct.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Your flowers. In
That's
a
my
sense,
goal.
right? I like
That's
that.
really
man.
what I care about. Yeah.
Who are some DJs that you're rocking with? Like, who's like inspiration or like DJs that you like listen to growing up / who you listening to now?
So many guys. Such a great question. I think on the pro level, right, like world stage, Eric Prydz is a name that comes to mind. Eric Prydz is a guy who was previously connected with the Swedish House Mafia guys.
Okay.
And could have gone that route, literally with them, could have been the fourth member, chose not to because he noticed they were going very commercial and almost breaking out from the underground club scene, the Ibiza scene, the European scene, to the ultra in Miami, right, in the North America. They were the first ones to really break through all of that. And I think he realized that they were being very commercialized or becoming very commercialized and didn't want that. He stuck true to his music, his art. My music is more underground. And I respected that because you could have made a lot more money joining Swedish House Mafia. Chose to be Eric Prydz. Eric Prydz, loved him, always still do. I think his music is very different as well.
It sounds like it also resonates with your story.
Yes.
Right.
Actually, never really thought about that.
In
but
terms
yeah.
of like, you know, kind of moving away from the agencies to kind of wearing your own hat and doing your own thing.
Yeah, and you have to have a confidence to wear your own hat, and not a confidence where it's a swagger or something like conceited. But I wouldn't be able to make a goal of being established on my own if I wasn't good enough to do so. So, and it's because I'm good enough to do so that I want to make a goal of being on my own and sort of having that awareness. I never really thought about that, Eric Prydz being the same as me. Yeah, but
I kind of connected the dot there.
Laid Back Luke, another name. He was the first like superstar DJ I really saw spinning live at this same Waterloo club. Laid Back Luke, and blew my mind. Like his musicality, his technical side of his DJing is superior. Is really really sick. And then there's a ton of local guys, of Waterloo guys and Toronto guys. DJ Ills, I haven't shouted out him. DJ Ills, mixed by OTR, was a guy who I was at school with at Trebas, and is an audio engineer himself. So does some audio engineering, does some DJing, does things like that. And we actually play at the same bar. We're residents at the same bar currently. So we went up with Trebas together. I saw him playing at this place. I broke in a little bit, and now we're both established at this one place in Toronto.
Nice.
I think that's pretty cool.
That is cool. I like that.
So yeah, those two guys, Eric Prydz, Laid Back Luke, and tons of Waterloo and Toronto DJs. Yeah.
Amazing. And in terms of like some of the mixes that you're doing right now, and maybe some songs right now that you're finding are like, I mean, obviously you're gonna have like your classic ones and like, you know, some older stuff that you'll go to all the time. But is there anything like that's new that's interesting you right now?
In terms of me as a DJ?
Yeah, for music.
So when I DJ, I'm actually very rarely playing the music that I really love. Very rarely.
Got you.
Right? So when hearing your question, I thought you were going to say what is the more popular music that, you know, people are sort of, I feel, are wanting when I play live. And that's definitely more, right? The Taylor Swifts, the Chapel Roans, right? This is not traditional DJ music, but so popular.
Right.
There, anything that I would want to play is anything housey related. I stay away from the dubstep. I stay away from the drum and bass side of things. Those things are cool, but I'm more of a traditional house guy. I'm actually quite passionate about that EDM versus house argument, right? So EDM I see as annoying, repetitive music, what my grandma might describe a track as. I also see that as EDM in a way, right? But then there's house. House music is house music, right? Always been around, sexy, groovy, vocally, sampley, even some hip hop influenced house music. So anything housey related, I like to play.
Nice.
Yeah. And R&B. I actually have a bit of an R&B side as well.
Okay.
And like Aaliyah, Ashanti, all these.
Just don't say R. Kelly.
No R. Kelly. Definitely R. Kelly. The thing too,
Not anymore,
you know,
anyways.
the thing with that is like, and the Diddy's, right? Like the Kanye Wests, right?
Yeah.
Like I almost try to separate the music from the person.
Mm-hmm.
And R. Kelly's music was amazing.
Oh.
Diddy's music is amazing. Can't play it.
No.
Can't play it. And the DJs represent that, right? So us as DJs, the culture, we are the gatekeepers of the music.
Right.
Right? So there's no
It's
Diddy.
so true.
There's right? There's no more Diddy played in the club.
It can't be. It
Or
can't.
R. Kelly.
No. And here, this is a hip hop question, but I know you don't play a lot of hip hop, but I know there's time and place, and maybe sometimes it happens. Kendrick Lamar and Drake.
Okay,
recently
great question.
beef.
So I was DJing at Baby Huey's, right, on Ossington, is a hip hop club in Toronto. The longest standing bar on Ossington, I believe, is Baby Huey's. I was DJing at the time. It was this past summer where all this stuff came out, the Drake and the Kendrick Lamars. I saw a video on social media. Not sure who the DJ was. I'm not sure where it was. I think he was a DJ not from Toronto, playing in Toronto, played the Kendrick Lamar
Not like
diss
us.
song, Not Like Us, and got into an altercation. People were fighting. I'm not sure if it was the staff fighting him or just patients in the crowd.
Right.
But basically I played both. I played it all. At the time, the one night, the Saturday night, I remember the Saturday night. It was the night where they would drop these diss tracks like at 2, 3, 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
But it was coming out I would finish a set, go on Insta, and oh my God, Drake's dropped another one.
Yeah.
Another one. Right? So have I played Not Like Us in Toronto? Yes.
Oh,
Have I played Drake's Push-Ups? Yes, as well.
Right,
so
right.
I play both. Have I taken the beat of Not Like Us and put a Drake vocal on the Kendrick beat? Yes, I have. Because that's a more Toronto-y version of kind of like getting back at him.
Right. I like that.
But I think as a DJ, I didn't take one side or the other. Yes, I'm more Toronto influenced. I like Drake. But I just tried to see it all. Hey, these artists are providing us music. This music is so popular.
Yeah.
I'm playing it.
Right. I like that.
Playing it.
No,
So
I like it.
I was the guy that played both. I stay away from it now.
Right.
Because I now that I think back on it, it might have been a little
Ballsy.
yes, and
For sure. You could get into an altercation.
and yeah,
You might as well stay away
I've
from
thought
it.
about playing Not Like I don't know, for whatever reason I haven't since then. It kind of doesn't make sense. Like I played it.
I
Then.
agree.
I don't.
It makes
play
sense
it
to play it at the time because it's
But,
like you kind of have to like let everybody hear the music.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you look back at it, it's
But also, sorry, these rappers are so strategic, right? This is what
for
they
sure.
want.
For
They
sure.
don't really beef with one another.
they're not fighting.
Sure,
They're not shooting each other outside.
you know,
Like it's not happening.
they might not like each other, but
Sure.
for what went on, they're loving it.
Yeah.
This propelled Kendrick Lamar, who was
Huge.
this
was huge for Kendrick and not so much for Drake.
but it was huge for everyone. Would say Kendrick was a great rapper before this, right?
Yeah,
and
of
a
course.
better rapper maybe than Drake.
People would say that for sure.
But this has just propelled him to
He was Ghost for a while. He didn't drop an album for a couple of years, I think it
Yeah.
was even Kendrick. And this was really the coattail he needed to ride. And that's why Drake actually said it too. Like, you're welcome, basically. Like, you owe me. Like, the reason why you're
Yes.
relevant is because of me.
Yeah.
Whether it's because you made good music or
Yes.
not,
Yeah.
I was part of that.
So I don't know if my treatment of those tracks are right or wrong or good or bad, but at the time I played a bit of everything.
I think at the time, if you're playing it, I
was a
think
bit of
it
a
makes
versus.
sense because
who's Drake-
exactly
who's Drake
that's what
fans
I was
in the
just going to
club?
say. It's more of a versus. We even did that on the podcast. We actually had a whole episode where we broke down all the tracks back and forth, and there's 4 of us.
The lyrics?
Like we played them out. We played them out, and then we did back to back. Then we rated them, and then we all said who won, like that, track versus track. Who won? We went around there was 4 of us. We went around each track versus track, sorry,
Yeah.
and we picked the winner, who we
Yeah.
thought won that round.
Right.
And then
True.
by the end of it, we ended up tied.
Overall
There was 4 of us, and somehow we ended up tied, which is crazy.
for the overall
For the overall who
winning
wins
of the beef
Yes,
was tied.
it was tied. because there was 4 records versus 4 records, and then there was 4 of us. We thought for sure we're going to eventually come out of here with like a clear winner, even if they only won by 1 vote. There's going to be a winner.
What were your thoughts on it?
It's funny because I say it's a tie.
Yeah,
I honestly do. Like even in my voting,
there's no true winner.
There's really isn't. The true winner is us, the fans. I always say that because
who got the best out of that.
Right, and finally we got some battle raps. I mean, it wasn't the battle rap like from like back in the day, but it was something entertaining. It was something exciting. There was some good bars in there. We got push-ups out of it. You know, I'm not a big Kendrick fan myself personally.
Yeah,
I just like I don't like. I'm not the biggest Kendrick fan. It is before the beef. Like, just I don't know. He didn't really drive for me. Right.
I'm more of an East Coast guy myself. I like the Nas, the Biggies, the Jay-Z's.
Same. Right. I like the New York rap.
Jadakiss is actually one of my favorites.
Is my favorite rapper.
Actually,
I actually shot a video with him in a music video.
Kiss.
Yeah, and it was my first.
Bro, Jadakiss is my favorite rapper.
Same.
That's wild.
That's crazy. There you go. Did we just become best friends?
I like Locks. I like them too.
Same.
But Jada himself, oof.
He was my Wow, I put him in my top 5.
Jada's
he's hard for me to push him as my first because I feel like he didn't quite have the body of work like
Jay-Z.
Like Jay-Z's up there for me in my top 5 as well. He was my favorite rapper forever too. But I always liked Kiss even better than Jay-Z from if I listen to certain records of Jada's, I'm like, okay, this actually blows a lot of Jay-Z out of the water.
Right.
But then you look at the longevity, you got to look at the business guy. Whenever I talk about this, I'm like, if we're talking about just rap, okay, I'll go with Jadakiss.
Yeah.
Right. But if we want to talk about legacy, you got to go with Jay-Z over Jada. Right. But they're still neck and neck up there.
Yeah.
But anyways, funny story is my first music video, my first big music video with a celebrity. It was Jadakiss was featured on it, and I got to film with Jadakiss.
In Toronto?
In Toronto, yeah. Wow. And it was really cool. We got to hang out with him after. And
what music? What for a record?
The artist's name was DeVille. He's an artist from Toronto, and it was DeVille featuring Jadakiss.
Oh, okay.
And so it was a grant. We got a factor grant or whatever it was, and it was my first time using a red cam as well, which is like a big production camera. And we shot with Jadakiss, and we got some cool behind the scenes stuff with him. And he was giving me my props for being like a really good director and all this shit.
Cool guy, right? Real cool, real guy.
Real
like he's genuine,
very genuine. We went, hung out with him afterwards and stuff too, which was cool.
When was this?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know.
90s?
I couldn't even. No, it was way
2000s?
after that. It was in the 2000s.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like probably. I want to say probably around 2010, 2012 ish.
Wow.
And and so what's it called? Also, I shot a video with Sheik Luch. So it was Peter Jackson featuring Sheik Luch, and so I got to film with him, and then we got to hang out with him too, and he was cool and everything like that. But I had a little bit of a locks. I just need to get Styles.
Yeah,
I'm like, yo, let me complete the trifecta. It'd be cool to shoot a video actually for Jadakiss.
Yeah,
like just him, a solo record off an album. That would be really. That would then I'd be like, but it was
a dream project for you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but like
nice
shooting that video with Jadakiss, right? And it's funny because after that I went on to shoot more videos with celebrities, and like I've done like work with like a lot of different celebrities now. But at that moment, I was like, I'm done. Yeah, I don't need to do anything else. I'm fucking wrapped up. It's kind of like you with the notoriety thing, where it's like once you kind of got that, whatever it might be, right? Because it could be like a newspaper article that then gives you that notoriety. It could be like a big major club that like hangs your fucking, I don't know, something up on the wall, or it could be like for you to get those flowers, right?
Yeah,
it's gonna have to come in a form.
Yes.
Is it a post? Is it a publication? Is it what is it?
So there's a group of I'm not going to say the name or anything, but there's a group of very, very, very established DJs in the Toronto area. They have a bit of a group, and they call the shots on what's good, what's not. So breaking into their network would be a
big goal.
Significance of really making it. Yeah. If I was to say, that is a concrete way to measure if I made it or not, that would be it.
For me.
And just playing. If you're booked,
right,
you're successful.
True.
Congrats.
That's a good point. Yeah,
right?
Having a residency at a major.
That feeling of not even major, that feeling of them wanting you and booking you ahead of time and making sure that your schedule is cleared so you can come and service their club for Halloween or something is a fantastic feeling.
Yeah, like or a New Year's Eve.
And it makes it makes me plan for it more. I'm not just going to show up 10 minutes before. You booked me 3-4 weeks out of this. I want to make sure that's the best set. So it comes from that feeling of being in demand.
I love
Yeah.
that. For me, it was, and it's funny because being in demand. No worries, no worries. We're gonna wrap it up here soon. We're gonna get into some song reviews real quick before we jump out. But
Cool.
But last thing I'll touch on real quick was like for me, like similar scenario where being in demand. So like I had shot these videos and all of them were always features. Like I got like the Jadakiss one, I got the Chic one. There was like other ones that I probably can't think of right now or whatever, right? But then I was like, I remember saying to somebody, and I was like, like I've done this, I've done that. And like, a lot of my peers have given me the pat on the back type thing. And, it feels good and stuff. But like for me, I'm like, okay, what's that next thing? Like, what's that next itch, right? And I was like, okay, I want a celebrity to reach out to me to film for them. That's when I know that I'm good enough type of thing. And it was funny because it was like right after I said it, it was like almost like fucking the same week or something like that. I got a call and it was somebody that had referred me to Riff Raff. And Riff Raff was looking for somebody that did like good green screen work, right? And at the time, I was known for doing good green screen and cool special effects stuff and these kind of videos, right? So then he ended up reaching out to me, and then I ended up shooting a video with Riff Raff featuring Skepta. Yeah, and Skepta's from the UK, and so they did a song together. It was called Back from the Dead. It was actually Halloween themed. And he ended up flying Skepta down, and we ended up shooting this crazy cool video. And for me, I was like, okay, wicked. And it ended up happening again after that, which was cool. But like just that moment when it happened was huge. And then after that, like you always end up chasing the next thing. Cause then I was like, after that, I was like, okay, well, what's next? And then I ended up getting like Billboard plaques. So when I got my Billboard plaques
from
Billboard, yeah, like so we had so the back
for the music video
that Riff Raff one ended up charting in the American charts. Okay. So I got a Billboard plaque for that, for doing the video.
I think that's how I know the name Riff Raff. I get from him, I guess. Yeah.
And then after that, I ended up getting another one by working with Peter Jackson, who he did like this whole Raptors run where he was making songs for like the Toronto Raptors, and they became like the theme songs for them. And then he put together like a compilation album that had all the Raptors tracks on it, and that ended up charting. So when he did that, I had made 4 out of the 5 videos for them, and so then I ended up getting the recognition for that
with the Raptors, or like some
for Peter Jackson. But I get the Billboard plaque. The Billboard plaque is a process you basically have to go through. It's like RCAA or whatever the hell they're called, and they're the ones that basically do all the numbers for the charts, and then so they actually have to like when I went to apply to get my plaque, they actually had to go make sure that the labels gave me clearance and permission for that. Right. That I was the accredited director.
Because it can't just be any song or anything.
And this isn't like getting a Spotify thing off of fucking Wish or whatever. Or, you can go online and order like a Spotify plaque or whatever. It's not Spotify's not giving you the plaque. You're just doing it for your own self, which is great. I think you need to have those trophies. Yeah. Right? But I think trophies are important. This is official. Billboard send it to you. Has to go through a process. There's numbers that back this up. It's on the Billboard charts. You can go on Billboard's website and look it up. Then I was like, okay, I'm good.
With your name, right? Like
with my name's on it.
Right.
Director Dan Barker right on it. I was super excited, very happy. And then after that,
lives forever, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And so now I have those, right? And so for you to get the like being accredited, like first it's going to start with I want that group of people to talk about me.
Hey, maybe down the line I produce a song and get it into the right hands, sure, right?
But forget about the billboards. That was like a me thing. There's other ways. Billboard is not to say whatever, right? That's what I mean. But there's going to be other ones, and that's what I think I love about artistry and whether it's DJing or being an artist, like a rapper or a band or whatever. It's that next level. But if you don't have the eye on the prize, then you won't chase those things. You'll just do the thing.
Correct.
Right? Like you could just get by just being a DJ.
Yes.
But by you wanting to get to that point where those people are talking about you, it's going to open other doors because you're pushing so hard to get to that point.
And it's a choice, right?
Sure.
It's a conscious
Definitely
choice.
A conscious choice, yeah.
Definitely a conscious choice. Do I want to do it or do I not? I know guys that they almost don't want to do social media.
100%.
They're happy in their place. I'm happy playing the same thing week after week, almost playing the same music week after week. I get paid, I go home.
That's it.
And that's cool, right? So there's time and place and different levels of artistry. Yeah.
100%. So we're going to jump into the song reviews now. I know we've kind of talked a lot of shop. Is there any last things that you would want to chat about before? You got any questions, concerns?
I think maybe a little message to anyone, watching this, aspiring DJ or creative. And that is, just a sign off message to, really, really go for it. Really go for it. I think for me, COVID really changed my mentality in terms of tomorrow's not promised in a way, right? So what would you do today if today was your last day, right? And not in a morbid way, but what are you truly passionate about to block everything out of and go forward with that? So I would encourage anyone listening to this, my story is a little bit traumatic in a way, right? We didn't really get into the downsides of leaving school and this and that. So I experienced quite a few negative moments throughout this journey. And, to anyone listening, don't let those negative moments change or alter you. Keep pushing forward with what you believe in and really try go for it. You're right. It doesn't matter what people think. It doesn't matter. People are always going to think good, bad, have their opinions. Try not to let that fear of someone's comment or someone's opinion stop you from going after what you want on the inside.
Love that. No, that's a good one.
Because that really is what drove me and that internal feeling.
And you got to believe in yourself at the end of the day, and as much as we just talked about being validated by others, which becomes important.
Yes. It's necessary.
It is.
Yeah.
It becomes necessary.
Yes.
But at the beginning, it's not. At the beginning, it's follow your heart, follow your passion.
Yes.
And then you're going to eventually come up with these goals and you're going to come up with these things. But it's like, if you're just coming up in the game, it's like, like you were saying it earlier, you kind of have to put up the blinders where you're like laser focused on something, right? Like pushing out this and other opportunities even maybe.
Because otherwise you're not giving it 100%. And that doesn't mean give 100% of the time, obviously. But when you are doing your art, put your 100% into it and block out that fear, block out the distraction, block out the self-doubt, block out the criticism, and do it with full energy. That takes a while to realize within yourself, but if you stay true to that, you'll never go wrong. No matter where you end up.
I like that. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to jump into song reviews.
Okay.
And so basically the way we do it is, for those that are just tuning in, if you guys have never seen it before, is we take in some local Canadian Toronto music. Could be from anywhere in Canada. Sometimes we take in some music from kind of all over the place too. Like we're not really like discriminating against it, but we try to stay focused on Canadian artists. And what we do is we listen to one hook, one verse. Then we usually go around and we rate it out of 5 mics, and then we give our feedback. So, it's not like long-winded feedback. We're also not here to drag anybody through the mud. So we don't sit here and like rip people apart or anything like that. Very respectful. Yeah. But, and it's just at the end of the day, it's just our opinion. It's just for fun. And it's also to kind of shine light on local talent. And
you're just going to play it from your phone?
Yeah. Okay. Because that way I don't get the copyright strikes. True. When I play it and put it in the actual thing, we always get flagged. So now we run it off the phone. The first one we're actually going to listen to is by Mike Guts. This one's called Punch Out. It is accompanied by a video, but
we're watching the video too.
We will, yeah.
Okay.
We're rating the song though, not the video.
Okay.
Hard to do when you watch the video. But one verse, one hook.
Yo.
I'm gonna set it to you first since you're the
Yeah?
guest. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll put the pressure.
And I
on
don't
you.
know like what others say, how they review it. So
You want me to go first?
no, it's all right.
Okay.
go ahead.
All right.
So I love the beat. I think the beat is a traditional, almost '90s New York style beat. I heard like Nas, those bells, the drums, really cool on that beat. I thought that his voice, his flow, his cadence was very applicable to the beat. Like the beat and his flow was very synergy. Like it just worked. But not a knock, but something that I would want to hear is I felt that his voice between the verse and the chorus was too similar. So almost the chorus didn't have that punch. That
it didn't really.
I was like, oh, is this the chorus? Is this not? Right? So almost a dip, maybe a little vocal change of his effects while he's doing the chorus. But for me, I was looking for a distinction between, because the verse was fantastic, right? But then, I want to know when I'm shouting the chorus.
I feel you on that.
You
Yeah.
know?
And out of 5 mics, what would you give it?
That's a 4.
That's a 4.
Four
That's a
mics.
solid 4.
4 out of 5,
That's a banger.
Yeah.
That's how you know it's a banger when
Yeah?
you're catching a 4 for
Yeah.
sure. Oh yeah, 4's good.
No, it was good.
Yeah, like
No, it's good.
5 means it blew you out of your socks, right? But 4 means
5
like,
would be like, yo, that's a sick hip hop
send
song,
me that.
and I'm dropping that in the club this weekend.
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
But
Because to me, I also sort of think from a DJ's perspective. And
Right.
Is it DJ friendly? Is it not? That it's hard for me to listen to music that's not associated to me DJing.
Right.
It's hard for me to do that.
that's funny. That
It's very hard.
It's
for
funny
me
that
to
you
do.
say that because I'm like a visual guy. So like from a
Yes.
music video side,
Yeah.
I'm like, what kind of story could I tell in
And
a
almost
video?
like I want to appreciate it just for music, but I'm thinking, how can I work this right? It's hard for me to think of that different
I
personally.
like it though. Yeah.
But
That's
yeah.
cool. No, that's a good one. Yeah, I thought that was a slapper. I like
Yeah?
that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
I like
yeah.
the old school. Like we were just talking about like
Yeah.
the Jadakiss stuff and
Yeah,
all that
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
stuff. Like not that it sounded like Jadakiss per se, but it was like very New York, like you said. The beat was slapper. Like I love that beat. Like
Yes.
if we just had that instrumental right now, I would be freestyling all day.
Yeah.
Because that beat was proper. But yeah, he rocked it proper. I really liked his wordplay. Like the lyrics and in the verse and everything like that. Like the
Yeah.
wordplay, I really liked it.
It was from a bravado, right? Almost like, I'm better than you, but yeah.
Yeah, the confidence was there. Like he
Yeah.
had that like fucking put my nuts in your mouth
Yes.
vibe. He even said that.
Yeah.
But no, I liked it a lot. To your point, yeah, like I did kind of subconsciously notice that at the same time with the transition from the verse to the hook. I think a simple drop, like maybe a more significant drop there in the beat, because I think maybe the percussion just rode right into the beat, like because I felt like his voice did kind of change on the hook because
Yeah.
he started kind of singing a little
Yeah.
bit, not singing, but
Yeah,
like
yeah.
more of a singy hook. But I just think that the beat didn't transition well enough to cater to what he was doing on the
So
hook.
when you say drop, you mean change the
So like the beat
beat?
at the end, right? Like usually what you'll hear is they'll take out maybe the percussion
yeah,
and they'll just let the chords run it out.
like a Travis Scott track.
Sure.
I think he's cool at that as like his vocals almost become the melody.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. So like something in the beat needed to change drastically before
Yeah.
the hook.
Yes.
Because I agree with you. It felt like the percussion just rode in. It almost felt like it was just one beat.
Right.
So I think if that little transition would have happened, we would have been, or even like take the percussion out of the hook, let him singing more over the hook
Yeah.
or something.
like a drum fill to lead into the chorus.
Right.
A pre-chorus.
Sure. Something like that,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But other than that, I would
Yes.
say because I actually liked the hook.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
hook was pretty banging. I like how he did like the it was like the Biggie line, I think it was that he was playing with there. But anyways,
Yeah.
I think I'd give it a 4 as well.
Yeah?
I'm with you on the 4.
Cool.
I might even give it a 4.5 to be honest.
Yeah.
The reason why I give it the half is because it's Mike Guts, and Mike Guts is he's a friend of the show. He's actually a co-host on the show.
Cool.
And he's actually one of the founders of Connect the Dot.
Oh, dope.
And that's why I threw it in there
Dope,
to
as
see
the first one.
Yeah, and I didn't tell you that because I
Yes.
wanted to get a genuine and honest
Yeah, yeah,
answer
yeah.
from you. But
Yeah.
Mike Guts is he's like my brother. Like this guy,
Yeah. Yeah.
he's just a good individual in general.
Yeah.
But I just when I hear
I could tell he's the real deal.
when
I
you
could tell it's
when
the
you
real
hear
deal.
tracks like that, it reminds me why I fucking love Mike Guts as an artist.
Yeah.
Like he's my brother. He's a great friend. Love him for that. But like as an artist, like I'll never forget that Guts is a guy.
Dope.
He's one of those guys. So moving on to another friend of the show, of the
Okay.
platform. He's not a host or anything like that, but he's actually one of the winners. He won one of our Connect the Dot full events. So like he won the finals
Okay.
at one of our Connect the Dot, and then he came on tour with us. He goes by Young Stitch.
Okay.
This track's called No Games. I've never heard it yet. It came out 5 days ago. It looks like it might just be like a straight up bars.
Okay.
Because it's only 1 minute and 14 seconds long, but
Okay.
we'll just take it in and we'll
Sure.
rate it on that.
You've never heard it.
I've never heard it.
Okay.
I never heard that last track either.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Shout out to Young Stitch. There we go. Young Stitch.
It's me first.
Yeah, you're up first.
Dope.
Banger,
Really
right?
dope. The beat with that the like angelic vocally sample there, fantastic beat. I know we're not commenting on the video, but the video fit that sort of beat and the rawness of that performance, right? That's not a full song, or
No, he does like kind of throwaway kind of records.
the beat fantastic. His lyrics were really good there. The only comment I would make was, and maybe it's just playing from your phone, right? As the mics just sound a little. I would put more bass in his voice. I would use a fuller mic. It was a little bit raspy. I'm not sure if that's what he was going for.
Right.
To maybe match the vocally part of the sample of the beat. It's on the higher end. So I would have maybe put a little more bass into his actual voice. Everything else fantastic. I'm going 4.5.
4.5. That's a solid one. Yeah. It's
almost like a Yellow Wolf, Mac Miller.
yeah, the double
flow.
time, right?
Yeah, dope.
Because the double time, he can crush the double time.
Yeah.
And he didn't even really like it wasn't one of those double time type of tracks that
No, it wasn't.
that he normally could do.
Oh, I see.
But he he's very versatile.
Yeah,
right. But
brought his flow to that beat for sure.
that shit was fire.
Yeah.
I like that record a lot.
Yeah.
The thing is like Stitch, he doesn't miss a lot. I've heard a lot of his music, and he does a thing called Stitch bars, which is kind of like what that I think was, where he just raps out, like there's no like rhyme or reason, like there's no hook, there's no like whatever, right? And he just gives it to you raw, and he very rarely misses, and he puts out a lot of them, so it's like it's tough to go like that consistent, but yeah, he's got it, man. And that was, I like the lo-fi type of style of the beat.
Yes.
I like those beats.
Yes.
Right? And like
Yeah.
when an artist can take that beat and turn it into that,
Yes.
like he did his fucking thing on that beat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he kind of, like the beat was fire, but it wasn't like the last beat that was like a heavy hitter beat
Right.
that like slaps you in the face and you could just rap out on that. Like for me, like if I heard that beat, maybe I'd rap on it, but I might not. But he turned it into a record. Like he turned
Yes.
it into a banger,
Yeah.
which I respect that a lot. When an artist can come on with their penmanship and their lyrics and their flow and like that, and be able to make the record, you know what I mean?
Take it to a next level.
Take it to the next level, because the beat was still nice, but it wasn't
Yes.
like
Yes.
it wasn't like that. Oh, that was the best beat I ever heard in my life
Correct.
type of thing.
Yeah.
But then he turned it into a record that was like, yeah, I would bump that, right?
Yeah.
Again, I'm good. I feel like I'm copying you here, man. But no, I would give it a 4.5 too.
Maybe we're just getting good records this week or something.
yeah, but
or-
it's the way we're critiquing them too. I think we're feeling the same things out of it, which is cool. Because like for Stitch 2, I put him up here. So I'm like, for me to give him a 5, it's got to be, he's got some records like that are 5.5s, like 10s. You're like, oh, that's
so
a
it's
10.
got to be a true 5.
It's got to be a true
to give
5
it
for
out.
me to give him a 5.
True.
I expect a lot from him. But he did a really good job there. That was a dope record.
And that thing where you're saying like you said he has a lot and still he's consistent with his quality, and that's a telltale sign of if you look at an album or a mixtape and you're listening maybe in your car or something, right? How many times are you hitting that next song? How many times are you skipping through a song? Right? Maybe that's not a great mixtape or a great album if you're only looking for the singles, right, from that project or whatever. But an artist like this, maybe he does a 5-track EP and you're listening to every single one beginning to end. That's
true.
That's something.
Yeah, he had a I think it was a double album. It was called Man and Machine or Man vs. Machine, and it was very, very tough to find a bad song.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, I don't remember a bad one, but we're gonna jump over to another artist who he actually sends us a lot of records and stuff like that. But B1 the Architect, he goes by. We have not rated this record, so we'll pop it on and see how we like it. This one's also accompanied with a video, but we're gonna do this last track and then we're gonna cut it out here. You know, we've been rocking for a while here. All right. So I don't think there was a hook there. So, but I allowed him like an extra fucking almost 8 bars or something. That's usually what a hook is. So B1, it's up to you.
Was dope. I like that as well. The beat was dynamic. That beat was pretty cool. I think that first beat was still the best. Out of those
best beat
3.
for sure out of the 3. Yeah.
I liked his voice. I thought his vocal processing was probably the best out of the 3. I know the second one was more of a raw, not a. I liked his voice on that track. I felt the a little bit of anger, maybe in a way, a little bit of internal struggle. I don't know. I heard that in him. I heard of that, almost like he's not fighting it, but it's a bit of I don't know, some toughness there, some hardness within the voice. So I like the way his voice mixed with the track. I like that. I don't know. I wasn't getting any maybe memorable lines, bars like the other 2. Maybe that's unfortunately right. I know he's a rapper, right? The lyrics might not have hit compared to the other 2, but I like the way he sounded on that track for sure. I'm going 4 out of 5. Yeah.
Yeah, it reminded me of like an album song.
Yes, that was a proper song, yes.
Right? Whereas like the last 2 were kind of like almost mixtapey,
yes,
if you will.
Yes.
Right? In a good way.
Yes.
But yeah, it sounded more like album. Now, you gave him a 4, which is it's a good thing. Would your mics change slightly if you knew that he produced, mixed, mastered, and edited? I think he might have made the video as well. I think he made the music video as well. Would that change anything or no?
Not in terms of my critique of the song, but it gives me more respect as the artist, knowing that he did that.
Yeah, I feel that.
But does it change too much, no.
No, okay, I feel that.
But,
No, I appreciate that.
Definitely hats off and respect. It's something I couldn't do.
No, but I like that because that's
but no,
fair.
it doesn't
That's
change.
fair.
Doesn't change too much, honestly.
I feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like that. Man, you did good on the reviews today, by the way. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. No, it was good feedback too, and it was good like hearing it from also a DJ's perspective, right? Because like normally when we're on here, it's usually artists, so you kind of or maybe a producer, right? But like from a DJ's perspective, it's actually it's pretty good.
Because if I know that a record is more mixable, right? Mix friendly, DJ friendly, doesn't mean that it's good or bad, but it will get more plays from me because it's so easy.
Good point.
So you're hearing it more often in the club.
Out of the 3 songs, which one's the most mixable? Definitely, right? First one. I like that. So I'm gonna rate B1's. I became a tough critic over the times on B1 because he submits a lot of records. This one I actually pulled up because I didn't realize we were actually going to film this today, truth be told. So I didn't, usually I put out a submit your music thing and we'll get like 15, 20 people that'll submit. So I was just kind of trying to pull some stuff together here. But these were, we don't oftentimes rate Mike Guts' music because he's usually on the show. So we try not to necessarily, like, you're going to rate your own track. It's a little weird. Yeah. So, but that's why I wanted to squeeze him in. I was going to squeeze in a Dre Specs one as well. He's another host, but we are kind of running out of time here. But
I'll be back.
Yeah, you'll be back. That's right. That's a good attitude. So B1, I'm going to give him a 3.5 on that one. Still a good score. I think the song was great. Definitely an album record. And I just B1, he's very versatile artist. And me, I like a certain energy from him, which is like that a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more. This was a little bit more laid back than I like from B1. Yeah. But to your points, mixed well. Sounded like a great record. Yeah, his cadence and flow is always, and his voice and everything is always A1. Like it's always B1. But no, it was a great track. 3.5. Keep coming with them. B1, keep up the good work. It's really probably deserving of higher than that, but you know me, I like to just like critique a little bit. Plus, like I'm looking at it like, hey, the Stitch one was like a 4.5, and that was, he went bananas on that. The Guts one is definitely a strong 4, and like that beat really, cooked this beat, I would say. So that's kind of why this one ended up with the 3.5. I think on another day with different songs, probably would have had a 4. But with the tally of songs we had today, I'm gonna give it a 3.5. Still a great score. Shout out to B1. Shout out to Stitch. Shout out to Mike Guts. Shout out to DJ Kiwi, man. No, I appreciate you coming through and being on the podcast. Right. Look out for a bunch of new content coming out with DJ Kiwi as well. What's your Instagram?
It's Disc Jockey Kiwi. So it's DJ Kiwi spelled out, DiscJockey KiWi, Disc Jockey Kiwi.
So go check them out. If you're looking to get a DJ for your party, if you've got a venue, you've got a bar, you got a club, you got whatever you're looking for, go check them out, man. A lot of good energy. A lot of experience in the game, in the scene. And I got a lot of good insight from you today just about the DJ and the DJ experience, the DJ journey, if you will, which is really cool. And I hope you guys learned something too. Shout out to all the loyal Connected Dot fans. Shout out to anyone that's new. If you're new, subscribe, drop a comment. Let us know what you felt. Tell us about the music too. You guys kind of hear the music a little bit, but we told you the songs, right? So this one was B1 the Architect, Synopsis of Our Fate. I don't think I actually said the song names of the other ones. Yeah. But now that I said that, I'll go back. So Synopsis of the Great. And then we had Young Stitch, No Games. Okay. And Mike Guts, Punch Out. That's a very fitting fucking name for that song, Guts. Yeah. That shit was fucking, you punched us in the fucking face. All right. So Connect the Dot. We here. Peace.
See you guys.